On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, just the Payton and Jack show this week. Me and Payton discussed some Mizzou hoops to start. We just answered a couple of hypotheticals as a de facto Long Island Mizzou preview. Tigers will play Long Island on Saturday. Just kind of rehashed some things, talked about some guys off the bench that, didn't get as much shine against Kansas and kind of what we're expecting to see from them against Long Island. Then we discussed the Williams Nwaneri news, gave our takes on that and just what it kind of means for the future of Mizzou, our thoughts on it happening in the first place and just everything that went on there that, with him ultimately transferring out and landing at Nebraska. So discuss that as well as Jaylen Brown entering the portal, the defensive end freshman as well. So some transfer portal stuff as well to finish out the show, and give a quick shout out to Mizzou volleyball after they wrapped up, unfortunately wrapped up with a loss in the NCAA tournament, but wrapped up a strong season. So did a bunch of Mizzou stuff in quick hits, talked about the All SEC awards, some more transfer portal stuff. We had some Miller Moss discussions, so plenty to unpack. So we are in full off season and transfer portal discussion mode here on The Unwritten Rule. So without further ado, enjoy the show. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, December 13th. And unfortunately, Missouri has more basketball games to play after Kansas. I kind of wish we could just end the season there, Payton. I want to keep watching this team, but I don't want to see any sadness after the ultimate happiness. But we have to soldier on, unfortunately. It's
I agree 100%, to be honest with you. I could just live off those highlights for the rest of the year.
Exactly. How many hours? What is your YouTube history now? Like, is it just how much of it is just Kansas Mizzou highlights?
I mean, I've watched the highlights probably at least once or twice a day already in the days since. So,
on this episode of My Strange Addiction, even though it's not a strange addiction, it's a wonderful addiction. Anyway, Jack Knowlton, Payton Haverman. I realize I don't introduce each other as much as I should, Payton, especially when Kenny's here. We got a good show for you guys. We are going to talk some Mizzou Long Island, kind of revisit the Kansas game a little bit too, and we got some football stuff to dive into as well. Kenny's not here; he'll be back. He's on a well-earned vacation after being Mizzou's premier recruiting insider. So me and Payton will be carrying the load for the next couple of shows. But anyway, Payton, like I said, Mizzou season has to soldier on. They play Long Island on Saturday, 11 a.m. If you're not going, you need an ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus subscription to watch it. The Tigers 8-1, 8-0 at home. The Sharks 4-8. The matchup predictor on ESPN is giving Long Island a 1.8% chance to win this game. We're not probably going to talk too much about Long Island, Payton, and I wanted to kind of just use this as an excuse to sort of revisit some Kansas stuff, kind of take stock of Mizzou and just ask you a couple of more things about this team since we last talked. First off, heading into this game, or at least at the time of recording, obviously there's more games that'll maybe influence some of the metrics here. Just taking a stock of Mizzou there, 29th overall in the AP poll. We touched on that last show. They received a bunch of votes. 29th in the AP poll, number 51 in KenPom, number 37 in the net, number 46 in Torvik, which is another metric like KenPom that just measures the strength of teams. And then they were also the last four out in Joe Lunardi's bracketology, which as early as those come out and as inaccurate as he's been on brackets, that was kind of fun to see the Mizzou logo just popping up on the last four out. Hopefully that can stay as the season goes on. But that's just kind of where Missouri's at overall in this game. And now they head kind of back into, facing some oh my gosh, what's the term you use, Payton, for these bye games? Blood donor games. Blood
donors, yes.
They return to some of these blood donor games, Payton. And I wanted to ask, when you look at this roster and you maybe look back at the Kansas game, you look back at what Missouri's done so far in its 9 games, we know, the Tamar Bateses, the Anthony Robinsons, we've sang their praises, even Mark Mitchell. Who to you on this team, as you head into the next part of this schedule, has been maybe the unsung hero, the underrated kind of thing or player who has kind of helped Missouri start the season as strongly as they have in your eyes?
Two names that kind of come to mind for me really quickly. I think that pretty much everyone that's come off the bench in some form or fashion has been able to give Mizzou a good contribution. But I want to shout out Aiden Shaw in particular. Aiden Shaw this season just looks a ton more comfortable. He doesn't stuff the stat sheet or anything. He still isn't like a ball dominant guy or anywhere, but you feel his presence on the court pretty much every minute. Dennis has basically made him put him firmly into the top 7 of that rotation. And he looks a lot more comfortable. He looks more capable of dribbling around a little bit when he needs to. He looks more comfortable taking shots. And defensively, he's just still a monster. He's still jumping out of the gym. So he's someone that I think you can come in and reliably get good minutes out of. Josh Gray is another one. It's hard to kind of say he's super unsung. I mean, a lot of people did praise his performance, rightfully so, against Kansas, where he was really just all over Hunter Dickinson a lot of the day, kept him in check. But I really think for most of the season, Josh Gray has been kind of what we've looked for from a big man, just someone that's going in there, protecting the rim, and grabbing and kind of being a force on the boards. It's not perfect for him. He still gets into foul trouble a lot. He is very little offensive bag, although he made his first career 3-pointer this year. But I think Josh Gray has given them a
2, wasn't it? It was a 2.
No, the one against Kansas was a 2, but he hit the 3 against Pacific.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I would say those two are the two that come to mind first.
Yeah, those are great shouts. I think Josh Gray, I mean, it has been, not only has it lived up to what he's kind of offered when, we kind of scouted him and looked at him coming in, but I think it's been exactly what Mizzou's needed. I mean, Dennis Gates was able to kind of turn Kobe Brown into the primary big, which was super impressive given his size, but it is just really nice to have a 7-foot bruiser who knows his role, who grabs rebounds, stuff shots, and is just really defensively active, and then doesn't do too much or need to do much or too much or want to do too much on the offensive end. I think it's I think it's really impactful. Payton's got his Torvik numbers here. This is nice with Kenny gone. We're deep into the weeds of the Torvik, Kenny's favorite application. He's got good rebounding rates, just good defensive metrics. He is 100% from the 3-point line, which is fun. But yeah, I completely agree. I think he has been just a really solid piece that you knew exactly what you're getting and you've gotten it. And Missouri hasn't had that. I mean, really, has it been since Jeremiah Tillman, Payton? This kind of, old school big. It's just really nice to have, I think.
Yeah, Diarra wasn't really a good fit at the 5, I don't think. Vanover was just not like what they really needed. He showed it in stretches, but it wasn't consistent. Gray, I think, is the one that has really kind of been the more just back to the basket, swat some shots, grab some boards, big that they've been looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like that take a lot. I think the 2 I'll throw out there as just, kind of some other unsung guys. And again, it's a stretch to say that. I mean, you look at this minutes distribution, most of these guys are still getting over 10, 12 minutes a game, some even in the 15, 16 range. But one guy I think has been quieter in the last couple of games, and I think, has shown him his stuff. I guess he was pretty good against Cal, was quiet against Kansas, I should say, like most of this bench was. But a guy I really like, I'm a big Marquez Warwick guy. I think he's going to be just vital. He was someone who I think we talked about, who you'd want to take a big shot down the stretch. And I think if the ball isn't in Tamar Bates' hands, to me, I think it should be in Marquez Warwick's hands. I really like him just as a scorer, can kind of do it on all 3 levels. Had 12 points against Cal in 25 minutes, was just really efficient with his shooting, 4 for 5 from the field, made his 1 3-point attempt, 12 points. I think that's, again, when you talk about exactly what you need, I think Marquez Warwick knows what he is going to give you and just does it. And it's not, I haven't seen him try to overdo it that much this year. And I think he's experienced and he's a good veteran guard that I think any team could use. I don't know if you share any of that sentiment with Warwick.
I do. I think Warwick is like a really good bench piece. He's not a guy that I think needs to come in and start at all, because the defense I don't think is super great. I don't think that he's like a super great high major defender or anything, but it happened like against Cal. Like he came in off the bench when it was like, okay, well, Ant's got to sit for a little. Where's the scoring going to come from? And Marquez Warwick gave them kind of that boost. I think that's kind of the role he can provide for you. You know, he's the leading scorer in the NCAA, as every broadcast will let you know. And he comes in and he provides a spark more often than not offensively. So that's definitely a good role to have, just a good tool to have in your tool bag.
And then the last one I'll just shout out, and I'll let you do it too, because credit to you for this take. Marcus Allen, for me, is one of the freshmen. I mean, he's been put in now in a couple of games in crunch time sort of defensive minutes. And you mentioned that long before the Kansas game, this is a guy who you felt Dennis trusted to defend at a high level, and he has. I really like what I've seen from Marcus Allen. You could probably elaborate a little bit more, but I think he's been great. 6'7" wing, guard people, and has been trusted in the clutch. I mean, I love it from Marcus Allen, the freshman.
Yeah, moment hasn't looked too big for him at all. You know, like he's a classic CY recruit. You know, everyone raved about his defense and how it's going to translate really well to Mizzou. And that's been the case so far. And also, on top of that, his offense, he doesn't get like a whole ton of shots or anything. He doesn't have a high usage rate. But when he's gone to the line, he's gone 16 for 17. He's making 55% of his shots. He's made his only 3-point attempt. So probably more than you were. He's probably ahead of schedule as far as true freshman goes. So I would 100% agree with that. He's clearly someone they trust to make the right plays defensively, and just give them good minutes.
Yeah. So there's a couple of unsung guys and kind of similar vibes. I want to look at kind of the bench when we look into this Long Island game. So yeah, again, not much to take away from Long Island. Last I checked, they were 333 in KenPom. They've played one Power 4 team all season. It was Ole Miss. They lost, I believe, 90-60. So another blood donor game, like we said at the top, Payton, and that kind of prompted me to think of this. You know, Mizzou had 4 bench points against Kansas. I think we saw, you know, we kind of praised Dennis for his handling of the rotation in that game and letting the starters, you know, eat and get theirs and really carry that game for Mizzou. Don't think it's going to need to be the same way against Long Island. I'll go out on a whim with that take. So that in mind, only 4 bench points against Kansas. Who is one guy, prediction time, I guess, off the bench that you think might have a good game against Long Island, maybe that you want to have a good game against Long Island to maybe boost his stock going forward as much as you can, you know, when it's a team like Long Island?
I'd like to see Trent Pierce kind of get back into the mix a little more. He's kind of been the last few times out just more passive, a bit more just kind of blending into the background a bit, Trent Pierce, more so than he did earlier in the year. I still think he's taken a noticeable step forward. He just looks more comfortable. His 3-point shot is still not great. He's only hitting 23.5% of those, but he's shown a lot better, just more willingness really to get to drive into the paint and just kind of use his size that way. I mean, he's 13 for 15 on shots inside the arc this season. He's gotten to the line a decent amount. He's 14 for 19 from the line. That's a lot better than it was last year. But I'd like to see him kind of get back into the mix here, because the last 2 times out, he was basically invisible. I mean, he had a steal against Kansas, I believe. Yeah, he did. And he put up straight zeros against Cal in 7 minutes. So he's someone that I think needs to kind of have a nice reset here against LAU.
Yeah, 18 minutes, 12 points against Lindenwood, and then he played a combined 12 minutes against Cal and Kansas. And like you said, no points, 1 rebound, 1 turnover in those games combined. So that's a good shout for him. Is this the Anar Boateng game? I was going to maybe pick him. I don't know. He has been a conundrum, starting for 4 minutes and then getting taken out. Maybe that happens again. He was kind of the one I would look to go to. I mean, he was the highest rated of this kind of star-studded recruiting class. I would like to see him play well. It really hasn't. He's got one double-digit game this year. It was against Mississippi Valley State. Only played 4 minutes against Cal. Didn't play against Kansas. I think I would like to see him. He's been scoreless in their last 2 games. Hasn't really played enough to get on the scoreboard. In fairness, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a confidence thing with him or if it's just maybe this is just first year is just gonna have to be a development year. But it's been. I don't want to be too harsh because it is a freshman, but for how he was rated, it's been a little bit disappointing. I'd like to see him, maybe show, if nothing else, what he can maybe do from a scoring potential and how, an athleticism potential and things like that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to see him have a nice game. He just kind of looks like he's, when he's on the court right now, he's trying to make a play too much more than just playing. I think he needs to just settle down a bit. And maybe it is just a case of where he's just not quite ready to be a contributor this year. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. You don't need him to be the crazy high level recruit that he was this year. I think the team is deep enough to overcome that.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see what happens. But there you go. There's a mini LIU preview, if you will, or maybe just more of a check-in on Mizzou as they face the Sharks. Reminder, Saturday, 11 a.m., SEC Network Plus or ESPN Plus. You can watch Mizzou, hopefully not have the letdown game of the century. And shoot, I say that lightly because I think of Jackson State last year. Can't have that happen again, but I don't think this team will have that. I think they've
not against LIU. I think
they found it. Yeah, I think they found a new floor in 2024-25. I'm excited for the bragging rights game too. We'll have a big preview of that when that comes up on the 22nd. Let's pivot to football, Payton, and we pivot from an easy topic to talk about to, I guess, an annoying one more so on the football front. It's, of course, transfer season, and we're going to talk about the guy who is now officially all the way out, and he's found a new school. The news that has hit in the last couple of days really quick. Williams Nwaneri has transferred from Missouri. He entered the portal a couple of days ago. The 5-star edge. We haven't had a show, I don't think, since he's entered, if my memory serves, of the timeline here. But has just kind of entered to start the week. And, it was a bummer when it happened, and he's already found a new home. He's at Nebraska. Pete Nakos of On3, I'm calling you out, man, because he tweeted today on Thursday when we're recording this, reminder that Williams Nwaneri is not actually formally entered the portal, and then quote tweeted himself 5 minutes later and said, and now he's officially entered. And now later in the day, he's already committed to Nebraska. It's every graphic, every tweet you're reading is former 5-star this, former 5-star that, Payton. And, it obviously sucks to lose a player of his potential. Obviously, he wasn't super involved last year, played in 4 games, 38 snaps, 2 tackles, did have that sack. But he was the number 8 player in the class of 2024. And from a concern level standpoint for you, when you look at a transfer like this, where it's a guy who hasn't become a contributor yet, but by all accounts should be, and is a 5-star guy, and we know how important those are to Mizzou. I mean, where does your concern level fall here? Now that he is out and obviously at Nebraska now, I guess good thing it wasn't in Oklahoma or even another SEC team, I guess. But just kind of what's your read on the concern here with losing a guy like Nwaneri who, wasn't in right away last year, but certainly has a lot of long-term upside for what he is.
I mean, you never, ever, ever want to lose a 5-star just a year after getting him, especially, I mean, they redshirted him this year, so he only played in 4 games, so he got to keep the red shirt, which basically was just a gift for Nebraska. It sucks, but at the same time, that's just kind of the nature of the beast, recruiting nowadays. I'm sure Nwaneri had a number he wanted Mizzou to meet. Mizzou didn't meet it. He went ahead and went to Nebraska, where his former high school coach, Jamar Mosey, is. That's just kind of how it goes. It sucks, yes, he wasn't a huge contributor this year. I don't think that was necessarily super shocking. He's very raw, more of an athletic project than a great player at the moment, but the ceiling is all-time high on this guy. So it does suck losing him like this. It's blunted a bit by the fact that we are in the portal season. Mizzou typically does pretty well here. They did just get Javion Hilson, who another 5-star D-end on Rivals. So they do have that to fall back on. But I mean, this was pretty surprising. I don't think it had really been rumored at all, as far as I knew. It is what it is. That's just recruiting nowadays. The portal is going to giveth, the portal will also taketh. So
well put. Yeah, I think the two things you hit on is, one, the surprise. I totally agree. I don't think this was super expected. It wasn't like a situation, they redshirted him at the beginning of the year. We all knew what was going on here. And, so you don't think it was an issue of, they didn't put him on the field enough. It's a position, defensive end is, that takes a while to develop into, no matter how good you were in high school. So, that obviously sucks. And yeah, there was the potential. He got his first sack, like I read, and, had some good grades in his limited action. But I think the two big things you hit on are the surprise and then the perception. I think it's one of those things that everyone is going to look at Mizzou and say, well, what's going on there? Did they drive a 5-star away? This is an in-state kid, yada, yada, yada. And I think that's what kind of hurts. Is it just not makes Mizzou look bad because Mizzou did anything bad, but just, it just looks like it's not a sustainable destination, or makes people think that. But you know what? You're right. I think Eli and I think the staff, they aren't going to be worried about what people think. They're going to be worried about now filling this need, in the portal and going forward. They did that on the recruiting trail, like you said, with Hilson. And yeah, I think you just have to kind of march on, but it will suck if Williams Nwaneri is the first edge taken off the board in the 2029 NFL draft, or whatever the case may be. Could be like a Mekhi Wingo situation. I feel like I did this a lot with him, where you'd see him get all this praise and then be like, oh, he was a Missouri guy. I remember that. Or watch Dominic Lovett in the playoffs. But yeah, it just sucks. I think it hurts a little bit. It's never good to lose a 5-star, like Payton said. And I'll say pivot off of that to this. I mean, Payton, when you look now at the defensive line room, I mean, they're not replacing a starter here, even though they lost a guy that they would have wanted to keep long term. I mean, what's your kind of just take on it in general heading into next year, and just how to maybe look, one area aside now?
I mean, in the short term, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. You got Zion Young back. You've got Javion Hilson in the fold now. You've got plenty of guys coming in. Brian Early, Mizzou's edge coach, even tweeted, let the dust settle, quote tweeting Gabe DeArmond, who after tweeting about this, is it too early to start drinking or something like that? I mean, you got Zion Young back in the fold. Darius Smith is coming off injury, but the staff was obviously very high on him. I wouldn't sound the alarm bells or anything like that right now. This is more of a long-term hurt than anything else, if Nwaneri is able to develop into the player that everyone kind of hopes he can be. But for next year in particular, I don't think it's the biggest loss ever.
Yeah, I just wanted to, use it as an excuse, I guess, to take the pulse. Maybe, like you said, look at the bright side in terms of what Mizzou might have coming in next year. I'll throw Eddie Kelly into that mix as well for a guy. I mean,
yeah,
man, talk about a guy that proved me wrong. I heard some things and saw some things about him last year. He's been a stud. I loved what Mizzou got from Eddie Kelly in his first season transfer from Georgia Tech. But yeah, big bummer for Nwaneri. Very mean of Pete Nakos from On3 to do that, to say he wasn't actually in the portal, and then some 3 hours later he's already at Nebraska.
Yep.
That was infuriating, but that's okay. It's portal season. It happened. And then, another guy to throw into that mix too, who left and might have got, a little unnoticed with the Nwaneri news. Jalen Brown, another freshman who departed, played kind of similar minutes, if you will, to Nwaneri, 37 snaps, 4 games, had a 63.6 defense grade, 73.7 run defense grade, 73.4 tackle grade from Pro Football Focus. Those are all, pretty okay numbers for the snaps he played. But Payton, this is another kind of long-term loss here. It was a 4-star guy who now is entered the portal and looking like he's gonna end up somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely a bit surprised by this one. I would have thought that both with Nwaneri leaving, it makes it even easier for Jaylen Brown to maybe get more playing time. So I was a little surprised by this one. Again, probably more of a long-term hurt than anything else. I mean, you definitely don't want to lose 4- and 5-star guys from their freshman seasons. But no word on where Jaylen Brown is going as of now. Nwaneri was almost unanimous Nebraska buzz.
It was right away.
Answered, but
yeah, it was early.
Haven't really heard anything on this, so very interesting to see where he ends up.
Yeah, just another bummer. Like it's interesting to do 2 defensive linemen. I don't want to speculate too much, but I think just long-term upside guys that you lose from that room sort of hurts. That's a tough pill to swallow for the future of Mizzou. But yeah, he was another one who entered the portal here on Wednesday. So we'll see where he ends up. But yeah, Mizzou a little bit reeling from a long-term from its 2023 class. But like Payton said, or 2024 class, excuse me. I said the wrong year. But yeah, we'll see kind of what happens in terms of what Mizzou goes after. We'll keep an eye on Miller Moss watch too. Hoping that we followed him on the Unwritten Rule account. The big test is if he will follow us back. We can maybe get some NIL deals going, Miller. We'll figure some stuff out. It's our pitch to him. Before we go to quick hits, wanted to revisit Friday. Another bummer topic, but I'm going to spin it positively. Mizzou volleyball, Payton. The dream run came to an end on Thursday when we're recording this. Lost a couple of hours ago to Kentucky in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament, ending their season. Very good year, though, Payton, for Don Sullivan and company in her second year. They won 18 games last year in her first season, won 22. It's their first 20-win season since 2019. They had the SEC Libero of the Year, Maya Sands, the newcomer of the year in Michael Vernon, and then another first-team All-SEC in addition to those two, Jordan Iliff, who's been good for a long time for Mizzou. Had a second-teamer as well in the All-SEC in Crownover, Marina Crownover. So, yeah, 22 wins for Mizzou. I'm spinning this positively. They upset 2-seed SMU, got to the Sweet 16. Bummer they had to lose to Kentucky. I tried to do it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but Kentucky did it. But, hey, Don Sullivan, Payton, building a program.
Yes, Don Sullivan is building a program. Very good year. I mean, they were ranked at one point. At one point, they were legitimately throwing elbows with Kentucky and I think Texas for the SEC titles. So nothing to really hang your head at. Kentucky is, I believe, number 13 in the nation or something, if not better. It is what it is. I'm sure they'll build on it. It's a program that's been on a very positive trajectory since Don Sullivan has arrived. Yeah,
she's been great because I'd like to, give some context. Me and Payton both started school at Mizzou in 2019 when they last won 20 games. And I remember coming in with the perception of they're kind of a volleyball school, and it fell off a cliff really fast. And there were some dark times. So yeah, hopefully Don Sullivan can build off of it. Like I said, 18 wins her first year, 22. Year 3, Natty? I don't know. Are we talking SEC championship? We'll have to see what ends up in store for Mizzou volleyball. But yeah, tough loss to Kentucky today. But congrats to them on a excellent season overall. And with that, Payton, we'll continue on. We got a bunch more Mizzou stuff to talk about. We will do that on the other side in quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We'll close out the show. We got Jersey of the Week. Kenny, what's your Jersey of the Week this week, buddy? Hey, guys. My Jersey of the Week is going to go to the Mizzou men's basketball team. Just kidding. I won't do a whole impersonation of Kenny. Kenny's Jersey of the Week is the Missouri men's basketball team. The Tigers took a visit to see some of their young fans, some of the kids at the MU Children's Hospital, after the border war game. And it was a very nice video posted by Mizzou Hoops. Always great to see the community outreach and all that stuff. And we give it a shout out here on this show. And I mean, pretty cool. You get a really big win, program changing win, and still make time to do these kinds of things. Great for the players. Great jersey, Kenny. Payton, I don't know if you have a thought on this, but feel free to add. And then what's your jersey of the week?
Yeah, it's just nice to see all the players look very engaged in this. It doesn't look like an obligation to them. They look like they're having a good time. So I think that's a nice little gesture.
Great gesture. We love to see it. We love to see it. Payton, what's your jersey of the week?
My jersey of the week is, I'm going to single out Tamar Bates because I don't know if you guys saw, but Missouri won the border war. And when you win a game like that, you're going to get a lot of hype. Tamar Bates got a ton of love from pretty much everyone. He was named SEC Player of the Week after his 29.5 steal performance against the Jayhawks. Dickie V made him the poster child on the Dickie V's.
Oh, Tamar Bates, baby. He was Mr. Wonderful against the Jayhawks.
He was up there with Mike Rhodes of Penn State, who had the Nittany Lions at 8-1. Cooper Flagg was on there, and Vladislav Golden from Michigan was also up there.
Formerly of Final Four FAU fame, Vlad Golden.
Correct.
I think Tamar Bates should go above Cooper Flagg in the NBA draft. All right.
Me too.
My jersey of the week. AP All SEC teams were released here this week, and Mizzou got a couple of names: Cameron Johnson, Armand Membu, named AP All SEC. Very good members of the offensive line. Payton, I know you're patting yourself on the back for Cameron Johnson. You were very early on the Cameron Johnson wave. I have to give you much credit for that.
Ever since he was briefly benched in the Kansas State game in 23 for Marcellus Johnson and then had to come back in for injury, he's been a completely new player. You very rarely, it's hard to get good offensive linemen out of the portal, like plug and play guys. Cameron Johnson was absolutely that for 2 years for Mizzou. So very good portal pickup for them. I don't know what his future prospects look like. I have not seen any of that, but he was a very solid player for Mizzou. And Armand Membu, I mean, I've said it a million times, the guy's a monster. He's going to be great in the NFL, whether it's at tackle or at guard. I have no doubt in my mind about it. 3-star to a 3-year starter. Not all of his freshman year, but parts of his freshman year. And declaring early for the draft. Huge win for Mizzou's recruiting. Huge win for their development. So just two really strong guys. I would have liked to have seen maybe a Johnny Walker pick up an AP All-SEC nod, just an honorable mention even. Theo Weiss could have been I like at least a shout out on one of these teams, even though he didn't put up the big volume. But I am happy to see these two get recognized.
Brandon Jones, salute you, sir. Well done with coaching these two. Other thing with this as well, Mizzou also got to brag because, of course, Luther Burden made the an All-SEC team, and Mizzou is now the only school to produce an All-SEC wide receiver in the last 3 seasons. So credit. They
also, shout out Jacob Peeler, who again is the best assistant on a staff with all-star assistants. Want to shout out Mizzou's D-line as well, because they have produced 3 all-SEC defensive linemen the last 3 years. Of course, I think they're just using every poll as a measurement because Johnny Walker did get on one of those polls. So Isaiah McGuire, Darius Robinson in 23, McGuire in 22, and Johnny Walker in 24. So that's 3 straight for D-line Zoo as well.
Boom. Hey, you know who could have been added to that list? Williams Nwaneri. Oh, sorry, man. You made it.
Nope. Moving on.
Wrong choice.
Anyways.
Moving on. Kenny, what's your oh wait. Oh my god. What sort of
amateur hour
no
here on the
He's the main bird.
All right, one more time.
I like
Sean.
no cap, and he's the main bird.
Thank you, Sean. Sean East, main bird of the week. Kenny, what's your main bird?
Very nice, Kenny. I think what you meant there is that Kyle Kennard, who is now a South Carolina Gamecock, makes this Drinkwitz mention a bird of the week because Drinkwitz spoke at the Charlotte Touchdown Club and National Football Writers of America. He was the keynote speaker at this, and while he was the keynote speaker, he relayed a story as I fumble around with my tabs because there's so many of them. Eli Drinkwitz says a year ago, he was eating breakfast at First Watch with Kyle Kennard and his dad. A day later, Kennard committed to South Carolina. I believe there was also an anecdote in there. I didn't listen to the whole clip, but I think Drink said he thought he was going to get Kennard, but he did not. He went to South Carolina. Shane Beamer, you did a hell of a job recruiting. Congratulations. That hurts.
Zion Young wound up at all.
Zion Young wound up being a pretty solid addition for Missouri, but boy, oh boy, Johnny Walker and Kyle Kennard would have been a sight to see on one D-line. No use crying over spilled milk. These things happen. The Jaden Daniels one is the only one that's always going to bother me. But this one did not feel good either.
Yeah, I do love a good former future Tiger to add to the list. But yeah, man, Kyle Kennard is a beast. That would have been so fun. Anyway, Payton, main bird.
My bird of the week is going to be Miller Moss. The bird connection is that he did indeed make his visit to Louisville after visiting Mizzou at the beginning of the week. He threw the L's up at a passerby they were at the basketball game last night. So the visit didn't officially start, but he was at the basketball game. He watched Louisville win by 3 over UTEP.
Hey, Chucky Hepburn.
We just won the
He plays for the football team though, Payton. That doesn't matter.
I know, but so yeah, he's on the visit. It is what it is. There hasn't been a crystal ball or anything yet either way. So Mizzou is still very much in on him, but his visit is going on as of time of recording, which is Thursday. We'll see how that all shakes out. Missouri looking to lock down their QB for 2025.
Make the right choice, young man. Be the bridge to Matt Zollers. It's everyone's dream. Hopefully Mizzou can escape this without a commitment to the Cardinals for Miller Moss. My Sean East main bird of the week also has a Louisville connection, back-to-back Louisville main birds. My main bird of the week is going to be Kevin Coleman Jr. We're staying on transfer portal watch for Mizzou. Kevin Coleman, of course, formerly of Louisville and Jackson State, and now Mississippi State, because he's in the portal. Of course, as you can read from the tweet here, he was at St. Mary's in St. Louis in high school. Obviously had Mizzou, linked as a recruit, and is now very heavily linked to Kevin Coleman in the transfer portal. I've seen some crystal balls on 247 already. This one feeling pretty good, Payton. This guy's a damn good receiver here from Mississippi State. It would be his 4th school in 4 years.
Yeah, and so obviously people aren't going to love that, but you know what? He was real damn productive for a pretty bad Mississippi State last year. 74 receptions, 932, and 6 touchdowns with the Bulldogs. It'd be pretty funny for Mizzou to get Luther Burden and Kevin Coleman because I'll let the people that know. I don't want to air it all out there because it's kind of...
Where's the beef?
It's message board stuff and everything, but it would be pretty funny to get those two, get Kevin Coleman the second Luther leaves. But yeah, it would be a dynamite pickup for Mizzou. I mean, 100%, no matter who's at QB, you want someone like Kevin Coleman on your team.
Yeah, this would be great. I would definitely love to have him too. Another in-state kid coming back home. I mean, we saw Mookie Cooper have a lot of success with that after moving back from Ohio State. So I would definitely take this. And I mean, hey, no better incentive to any prospective portal QBs. Look who we got at wide receiver that you can throw to. So hopefully Mizzou can lock this one down. Best thing you learned, Mr. Payton. What's the best thing you learned?
Best thing I learned this week. I apologize for not having the video of this up. It is such a good story, though. I'm going to try and find it again. I think I know who might have tweeted it. But just in case I can't. So this is a story from Mizzou assistant coach Dickie Nutt. I forget his exact title now with the Tigers, but he's still on staff. He was telling a story on a podcast. There's a video and everything. I couldn't find the tweet. So he was relaying a story about when he went to Oklahoma State and how he had a roommate that was also an athlete at Oklahoma State, and how he'd come back from practice some days and his roommate and a friend would be playing like country music in the dorm. And sometimes after long days at practice, Dickie Nutt was like, no, please just go somewhere else to play this music. And he said, the guy I was kicking out of my room was Garth Brooks, country music star Garth Brooks. I cannot find the tweet. I feel really bad, but it's just a funny small world moment where Dickie Nutt
that's awesome.
How he used to kick Garth Brooks out of his room. I can't even find the tweet. I thought maybe Dave Matter had retweeted it, but I just can't find it. It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, that is a great story. That is such a small world. I feel like you hear that all the time of like, oh, my roommate was so and so. My roommate was whoever. That is really cool. Credit Dick and I. Hopefully Garth Brooks, gave him, I don't know, some merch or something when he got really big. That is a super cool story. Kenny, what's the best thing you learned this week?
Nice, Kenny. Looks like it's more guys on the all SEC team. This one is the coaches. Luther Burden was first team, which coaches are funny like that because they definitely don't care about stats or the year you had. They just care about like game planning, basically. Everyone was obviously game planning around Luther Burden. So that is probably from that aspect, definitely a deserving first team. Johnny Walker was second team, so there's that. All SEC mention, and Armand Membu again picking up a second team shout.
There you go. Racking up the awards for the Missouri Tigers. This is award season. We've done well in awards season. We haven't complained as much as we usually do. Usually we get sick of it. It's more preseason awards. I don't like preseason awards, but that's for another time. My best thing I learned this week. Congrats to those three, by the way. I'm pivoting away from Mizzou for the last thing here. Because boy, oh boy, this is crazy. UNC hired Bill Belichick. I think we've maybe mentioned this on the show, like when it was kind of becoming a report, but it's official now. He is going to be North Carolina's coach. And that's the best thing I learned. Pretty good tweet here from Carolina football. Chapel Bill. They captioned it with a funny video in like a compilation of Bill Belichick. Payton, what do you think of this? This is pretty insane. I mean, kind of changing the landscape. Bill Belichick at 74 years old, going to go take over Carolina. Something I never thought I would see. Pretty insane stuff.
Yeah, very weird. This is Bill Belichick's first time coaching in college, and it's at 72 years old. Yeah. It really is going to be boom or bust for me. I think North Carolina is either going to become the premier, second power in the ACC next to Clemson, or they're going to absolutely set themselves back a decade. I mean, to be fair, people are going to have questions about Bill Belichick and how he translates into recruiting. People I've seen good points made. He has more connections to the NFL than anyone ever. He'll be able to hire a dynamite staff. He'll be able to pitch a lot of guys on that whole vision of, if you want to get to the NFL, this is I'd have the connections. I'll get you looks. He undoubtedly has the eye for talent. He'll be able to find gems out there in the high school ranks. They have a GM. They're one of those schools that has the football GM set up. So that'll help take some of the burden off of him. It's weird. It's so weird. I don't know if this is the end goal for him. This is where he plans to retire. But it's just going to be bizarre. I am very fascinated to see how this works out.
I like the idea of, like you said, I think him in the transfer portal could be really good, because it's just hey, come here for 1 year. I'll get you from a, solid junior to the league. I can put you in there. So I agree. I've seen some good points made about how you can pitch kids and do all that stuff. But yeah, it's just going to be a fun experiment. Can't wait to see that powder blue sleeveless hoodie that he's going to have on and the hood up and how all that goes. So yeah, welcome to the college ranks, Bill Belichick. Other side note too, Dan Mullen got hired at UNLV while we're on the topic of crazy coaching hires.
Pretty sick.
Pretty sick
stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
there you go. Crazy coaching hires.
I need you to don't spoil it.
Don't spoil it. All right. You're safe. You're safe.
All right. Good. This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Knowlton.
Yes.
What did one plate say to another plate?
What did one? Or is this like dinner plates?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Like
What did
like
one?
the not the silverware, like the dish.
The dish. What did one
Yeah.
plate say to the other plate? Something about dinner. I don't know.
Yes, correct. Tonight, dinner's on me.
I should have got that. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'll take that one. All right. That'll do it. First of I think two-man shows you're going to get this week from Payton and myself. So hope you enjoyed them. We will be back on Sunday. We'll recap LIU and what we saw. We'll see if our predictions for the bench stars come true, and I'm sure we'll have more transfer portal stuff to discuss as well. So stay locked in. We'll have plenty of fun coverage all off season long for football and all basketball season long as Mizzou looks to build on the Kansas game and, win a conference game. I'm not going to say any more lofty expectations than that because I've learned. All right. That'll do it for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.